Good afternoon, Professor. My name is Kate Stewart, and I am with my partner Haley, and we have our project proposal for MK620 that we would like to propose to you. All right, so before we get into our proposal, we wanted to just give you a little bit of information about us. So, as I said, my name is Catherine. So I went to UConn for my undergrad, where I graduated in 2009 with a degree in marketing, and then I also minored in sociology. So for the past almost 8 years, I've been working at Comcast Cable in Berlin, Connecticut, and I oversee communications from an internal perspective at my company. So my main focus is developing our sales channels with various communications, whether it's product job aids, sales incentives, etc. And then just a little bit about myself as well. I'm an avid CrossFitter. That's actually where I met my fiance. We have a dog named Bubba who we absolutely adore, and we are actually getting married next April, so we're very excited about that. And probably the thing I'm most excited about is that this is my last MBA class, so I am wrapping up my MBA program with your class, so very excited about it. So I'm going to turn it over to my partner Haley so she can give you a little information about herself.
Hello. So yes, my name is Haley Hasbuslot, and I graduated in 2012 from the University of Rhode Island with a Bachelor's of Science with a concentration in marketing and a minor in Spanish. Since graduation, I've been working for a small financial technology company, Geezeo, out of Glastonbury, Connecticut, and I manage all of our product marketing. So I'll include all of our sales and client success resources. I produce a lot of different types of content, including videos, blog posts, white papers and case studies, and I also manage our advertising. And when I am not working or doing coursework for my MBA, I love reading, and I also volunteer for a local rescue, and I have 3 rescue dogs myself, Sam, Maverick, and Lander, and they are quite the handful. Hopefully they can stay quiet through the duration of this presentation because they can be quite loud. But moving on, I am going to turn it back to Kate to do a little bit of intro on our project topic.
Thanks, Haley. So for our domain of interest, we want to focus on the millennial home buyer. So what's a millennial? As of right now, it is someone between the ages of 18 and 30. So we are going to focus just on the United States residents that are millennials. There's currently about 92 million in the United States. And there was a really nice quote about millennials that I found on the Goldman Sachs website. So as you'll see on the slide, it says it's one of the largest generations in history is about to move into its prime spending years. Millennials are poised to reshape the economy. Their unique experiences will change the way we buy and sell, forcing companies to examine how they do business for decades to come. So that sentence really jumped out at us. Millennials are poised to really change the game when it comes to the economy, especially in the home buying business. And what we'll go over a little bit in the next few slides is why we think that millennials are going to reshape the home buying experience, but we'll discuss that in the next few slides.
For the next topic, we're going to go over some of the questions we want to answer in doing research about millennials and home buying. So really what we want to find out is there a relationship between student loan debt and the willingness to buy a home? We know that most millennials, or not most millennials, but a lot of millennials at this point may still be living at home with their parents, trying to pay down some of their student loan debt or build a cushion or a savings account so that they can make major purchases such as a home, a car, start saving for retirement, etc. And because of this, we've also found that most millennials aren't at the same point within their lives as our parents were and other past generations were when they made some of those big life decisions, such as buying a home, starting a family. These are all things that millennials are tending to do at a later point in life. So on top of that, we also want to look at because the amount of education a lot of millennials have, is this also affecting their ability to buy a home? And not only for the millennial generation, but the Gen Xers and the baby boomers, if they also have an abundance of post-high school education, or if some of them do, can we look at those members of that demographic specifically and see if it at any point affected their ability to make a large financial decision? Next, are millennials from higher income areas more likely to purchase a home than those in lower income areas? I know that Connecticut tends to be one of the areas of the United States that does have a higher income. So if we do look at different parts of the U.S. where incomes tend to be higher and lower, is that going to affect the millennials' ability to buy a home at a specific age? Also, does a person's relationship status affect their likelihood of purchasing a home? Is it more likely that a millennial with two incomes in a household from themselves and their spouse, are they likely to be more successful with making a major purchase such as buying a home, or does that have no bearing on whether or not millennials are purchasing homes? And lastly, if they are purchasing a home, has the type of home that a millennial purchases changed versus previous generations? We hear a lot about this topic of starter homes, and we hear a lot about the type of homes that baby boomers and Gen Xers may have invested in 10, 20 years ago. So is that the same type of home millennials are looking for now, or are we seeing a difference in the consumer's wants and needs today?
All right, so then what is our research plan? So for the most part, what we would like to utilize is both online and face-to-face surveys. For our online surveys, we would like to utilize the website SurveyMonkey. It's something I'm extremely familiar with. I use it a lot for my position at Comcast. So I really like that with SurveyMonkey. You can kind of really analyze the data from an overall general perspective, but also do a deeper dive into each individual survey as well. So because we both fall within the millennial category, we know that we have a lot of people that we would be able to reach out to in order to complete this survey. So both utilizing that face-to-face aspect, so anybody that we can meet with face-to-face and have that interpersonal connection with them, I think that would be really helpful. So the primary data that we're going to be looking for that can kind of help to frame the type of consumer, type of person that we're talking with, is their age. So how old are they? Do they fall within the millennial category or not? What is their current housing and living location? So not only what type of housing that they're currently living in, are they renting? Do they own? If they do own, is it a single family, multifamily, a condo, etc.? And then where are they living? So what location are they in? Are they in a higher income area? Are they in a lower income area? That will help to kind of, again, frame the type of consumer that we're talking with. The next thing we'd like to look at is their number of years of post-high school education. Not only does that show how much higher education that they've received, but for the most part, that will also show how much more possibility there is if they have student loan debt. And then also kind of piggybacking on that, what's their highest level of education or degree at this point? Have they earned their MBA? Do they have a PhD? Do they only graduate from high school? This, again, will help to frame the type of consumer that we're talking to. And then finally, a huge primary data point for us is going to be the actual amount of student loan debt that they currently have. We also may want to look at what they started at. How much student loan debt did they begin with? How much have they been able to pay down? Possibly if they've paid down more of their student loan debt, they may have less of the ability to purchase a home. So are they sitting on that student loan debt, making minimal payments, but they've been able to purchase a home? Or did they kind of do it the other way where they paid off most of their student loan debt and are still renting or do not own property. So then we get into the secondary data that we also would like to look at, which is the relationship status. So like Haley mentioned in the previous slide, if the person is cohabited with another individual that's also making money but may also have student loan debt, does that make them more inclined to purchase a home or less inclined? The number of children that they have. Children are a joy in people's lives, but they're also an expense. So that is an additional factor that we'd like to look at. Their graduation year. So what year did they graduate from college, or if they took additional schooling, when did they finish their additional schooling as well? Will help us to kind of frame how long have they been sitting on that student loan debt. And then lastly, their current education status. So are they currently enrolled in additional schooling, currently accruing even further student loan debt? Will help to really paint a picture for us as to what type of consumers that we have for our survey base.
And that leads us into our hypothesis. That hypothesis is that millennials with student loan debt are less likely to purchase a home at the same or similar age than the generations before them. So this could be affected by some of those different data points that Kate mentioned in the previous slide, whether or not they have children, whether or not they're continuing their education, where in the United States they are currently living, and any other life plans that they have or life goals. Are they planning to travel? Are they planning to start a family soon? Are they planning for a wedding? So those are all things we are planning on taking into account in this research to address the hypothesis that millennials are going to be and are less likely to be able to and have the funds to purchase a home within their mid to late 20s, much like our parents, totally lost the word that I was going to use. Differently, are millennials going to be able to purchase a home at the same or of a similar age than when our parents purchased? So mid to late 20s, possibly even early 20s. And I know I've heard plenty of stories that 20, 30, 40 years ago, home prices were much different than they are today. So with that in mind, and with the likelihood that millennials do have $35,000 worth of student loan debt that they're paying down before they could make any other large financial decisions, is this hypothesis going to be true that millennials are going to be less likely to be able to purchase a home at the same or similar age than the generations that came before us? So that is our project proposal. We hope that we'll be able to continue to explore this topic over the next 6 weeks and be able to not only prove this hypothesis correct, but definitely learn something along the way.